So I lied. I said in the next episode I'll be excited to show you all my progress with terraforming. And I did do some, but I didn't do as much as I wanted to. So I added a bunch of trees, which are, let's just have a fly around. Yep, so I added a bunch of trees, mostly over this way, and I fixed that ghost block that wasn't working. But yeah, added a whole bunch of these trees, and I didn't actually get around to the path as much, but I did add some, like, extensions. I didn't add any flower fields like I wanted to. I pretty much just added trees, and then, yeah, that was basically it. Because got distracted, as always. There was a bunch of people on the server at one point, and we decided to, partake in a tournament because I had just finished my arena, which you saw in the other episode, and a whole bunch of us decided to embark on a big arena, or a big tournament. So it was a lot of fun. There's lots of laughs. I did record a bunch of it, and I've cut it down for you. Unfortunately, the audio did not record, so it's just me with a voiceover and then a little bit of music in the background. But there was a lot of chaos. I really wish I got the audio captured because it was absolutely hilarious. But it was a whole bunch of us and still having some ping problems. And yeah, so I think I'll cut back to that first and you'll get to see that. Enjoy. So the tournament was quite chaotic, to say the least. There wasn't any actual plan. A bunch of us just said we wanted to fight. And I just finished my arena, so it seemed pretty perfect, which was great. There were a few teams trying to be established, as you can see, and they didn't end up working because the tournament rules kind of changed. But at this point, they were semi-established as people were joining and asking for food and things like that. The rules being it would be a 1v1 and then the winner would move on to the next round. We decided to use totems so people wouldn't lose their experience, and we also decided not to eat during the battle, as it would just, have the regen and it would be way too long, seeing as it was just a fist fight, no armor. So we decided to just scrap all of that. So a few of the boss members decided to, including me, do a sort of totem tactic where all of us were sitting on each other's heads and it'd just be kind of 3 against 1. It didn't really end up working, it kind of did, but it was also just unfair because, 3 against 1. Still a hilarious idea though, so we had a lot of fun with that. We next moved into the arena and we were ordered into a line so that all the names could be drawn for the randomization to decide who was the 1v1, despite my ping issue and a couple of the members' ping issues. But I wasn't going to let that stop me from having some fun. As we stood in the line, someone made a list of everybody and put that into a sort of spinning wheel so that it could be completely random. If the audio was working, you'd hear the chaos in the audio right now, but unfortunately it didn't. So we just stood there and then waited for our names to be put into the wheel. And so the wheel was eventually made, and the first battle, as it got spun, was between, let's wait for it, was between Vanda, and it was against Chris. So the next battle that was being decided was against AZ, and it was AZ against Anis. So then the next battle was grappled, and that was against Bear. The next battle was H-Mitten, and that was against Omni, which left me and Nzani. For some reason, when I came back, there were a bunch of buckets in the middle. I don't know when that was placed, but that was besides the point. I walked over to the scoreboard, which we'd only had one fight at the arena, because it wasn't finished beforehand. and the winner for that one was Mitten, and it was Mitten against Chris. But we all made our way up and to the stadium, and we started watching the first fight, which was Chris against Vander. Chris decided to go to the offensive, and they both made some really good first hits as they both held their totems tightly. There was a few dodge maneuvers and things like that as the fight progressed, and unfortunately for one of them, it was not enough to dodge and fight, as you'll see in just a second when it was over, which was Vander. So Vander delivered the final blow against Chris, and Chris popped the totem, which means he had lost. There were a lot of good games in chat, but it was definitely a good fight. The next fight was against Anis and AZ. There was some really good hits from both of them at the start. Anis was especially getting some good hits, and AZ seemed to be doing some interpretive dancing, which presumably was to distract Anis. But yeah, they both seemed to be getting some good hits. It was definitely a very tense fight for quite a while, because I think this is one of the longest fights. Maybe not. But there were quite a few people online, and unfortunately the dances did not work for AZ as Anis delivered the final blow, just leaving AZ with an achievement. There was a lot of good games in chat because it was definitely a good fight. The next fight was between Grappled and Bear, which had already started. I almost got pushed off the edge, but it was definitely a close fight as they both had some good hits, so good that they ended up moving out of my viewing distance. I had to change spots, which I was incredibly glad that I did, because I witnessed one of the best strategies that I've seen through the whole fight, which was Bear hopping on Grapple's head. It's incredibly hilarious, since Grapple just aimlessly swung his fist trying to see where Bear had gone until Bear just appeared in front. Unfortunately, that strategy was not good enough as Grapple did deliver the final blow and Bear did end up losing. It was definitely a good game, definitely a funny fight. And the next fight between Mitten and Omni, which Mitten ended up getting quite a few really, really, really good hits on Omni right at the start, which definitely helped Mitten further in the battle. But you'll see, as there was some attempts at dodging, it wasn't quite enough for Omni, as Mitten did end up delivering the final blow and popping Omni's totem in just a second. You'll see, there you go, and again, just leaving Omni with an achievement. Still a very good fight, very good battle. The next fight, and I think it was the final out of the 1v1s, was me against Zany, which, as we stood very nervously and stared at each other from across the arena, it was definitely a very tense fight. I spam clipped with like the hardest I could ever, and I ended up getting quite a few good hits on Zany right at the start. However, I realized I was losing hearts quite fast, and I was very scared. I saw the chat was going off about something else, and I was trying to focus all my efforts on Zany, and as I got to one heart, I was getting very nervous until I delivered the final blow and popped Zany's totem, which was incredible because that was the closest fight. Yes, the closest fight, which was great. The next battle was a free-for-all with 5 of us winners, because it was kind of we didn't have enough even numbers, so we had to do a free-for-all. This fight determined whoever lost wouldn't continue with the rest of the 1v1s, and it was kind of a slow fight to start with because nobody wanted to deliver the first punch. I delivered the first punch to Vander, and everybody still ended up just standing around and was kind of too scared to continue it. I got bored and just went straight. I originally went for Grappled, but then got scared and went for Vander instead, and then ran because I got attacked back, which kind of is what happens in fights, but it still scared me anyway. Everybody was trying to run away, and I got kind of ganged up on by 2 people, so I just ran and then got hit a couple more times and continued running until I thought back to my totem strategy and jumped straight up to Mitten's head as we chased Anacito as we ran, and it was kind of a scary chase, I'm assuming from Anis's perspective, but for me it was just completely hilarious as we just ran and spam clip trying to hit him. Eventually it did seem unfair, so I did hop off, but not before having a little bit of fun. But you'll see yeah, as I hopped off, which wasn't the best decision because then I ran straight into an active fight, which both of them kind of had a look in their eyes and decided to go for me, which I ended up running because I realized I was getting quite low on hearts. But then a third person decided to, and I ended up dying and popping my totem, which declared me the loser of the battle, which I could not continue with the rest of the 1v1. As I went upstairs to observe the next fight, which was against Grappled and Vanda, which had already started, there was some bets going on a single cooked pork, which I guess. But yeah, there was a decent fight. They seemed to have some good hits on each other. It seemed about the same at this point, and my zoom kind of went out of focus, so I had to move it a little bit. But yeah, eventually Vanda won the fight and Grappled just ended up with an achievement. The next fight was between Mitten and Anna, and Mitten, had a little bit of a goat horn siren to signal the start, I guess, and very ominously just walked towards Anna and started hitting and delivering some really, really good first blows. They were both holding their totems tight, and it was quite a long fight, I believe. I believe it was quite a decent length of time, but they went straight out of my distance, which caused me to actually jump down accidentally and to run very quickly to observe the fight instead of being in it. We saw some phantoms coming out, so we kind of wanted to finish this fight so one of us could sleep, and Mitten delivered the final blow, which caused Anas to lose the fight. Somehow during this time, Chris ended up dying to the prize of the tournament, so I'm not sure how that happened, but it was pretty hilarious, I'm not gonna lie. And Vanda ended up piping off with some very good keys of wisdom. I'm about to put the laughter in manslaughter, so that was hilarious, and especially during the tension of, people waiting for the fight. But it was very, very funny, so I'll give Vanda that. Unfortunately, with the final battle, I didn't get an incredible amount of good footage due to some technical difficulties, but I got a good bit of the start. So Vanda made some very good hits right at the start of Mitten. Like they had very long arms, just hitting and dodging. But there were quite a few good shots, and Mitten did do a jumping on the head bear trick, but I did miss the end of the fight. But the end of the fight did end up being declaring Vanda the winner between those two. So that was very exciting. The whole tournament was an incredible, fun and funny situation, and I'm very excited to have more. And I'm very excited that I got to record it all and see the whole tournament, despite some of the technical issues with audio and video. But yeah, otherwise, so chaotic. So as you can see by that, it was a little bit insane, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I didn't end up winning, as was obvious, but I still had a lot of fun participating with everybody on the server. You can probably see over there with my mega base, I've made a little bit of progress, but I'm going to save that for the next episode because I think this one's already a decent amount of time, and there were a few things. So I haven't been doing nothing on the server. I didn't just do the tournament. I collected some materials and I continued working my mega base. But I think I'll show that next episode, and this time, hopefully with no distractions, keep trying to finish the terraforming like I was meant to be doing. But yeah, distractions. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one, and enjoy your day. See you later. Bye.